It seems like we've gained everything in this world but lost one thing, and that is our sanity. And our sanity when it comes to keeping our home clean and tidy and organized. And the culprit is not your children, your spouse, yourself. Maybe it could be yourself. It's just all the stuff that we are introducing into our household, all the things that we think we need. This just becomes extra clutter in the home, which in turn just turns into extra clutter in your mind. Then you're lashing out at your kids and your husband because this stuff is over there. The toys are out for the quadrillionth time. God didn't give us our homes to manage the piles and the clutter. He gave us our homes to be able to host, to use it as a tool, and to steward your family and people who come into your home. It is not supposed to look like a museum or like a place that nobody lives in, but it also isn't supposed to look like there are just piles of stuff where you have no time at all to do anything else but clean and organize and declutter for the 7th time in a month. This was a realization that I had because I had too much stuff and I thought everything else was the problem but the stuff. And that is where I went wrong. First thing that I realized is that clutter is a thief. It takes your time, mind you, your money. It also takes some space and the mental load of just having it, having to find a place for it, the maintenance. All that comes with just having this little thing, whether that's toys or clothes or shoes or anything for the kitchen. That is all adding on to the things you already have to do. Is it nice when you see it? Of course, sometimes things are nice, but you know what? That's why window shopping exists as well. When you finally realize that everything you introduce into your household is nothing but a maintenance, you will start to realize how much little you really need, how much you actually use, and even your kids, the amount of toys that they play with, what they actually like. They don't need it in abundance. We just like to bless them. Clutter takes away what matters most, and that is your time, which is the second thing that I realized is that it is an invisible burden. Having so much stuff and not realizing that that is a problem is an invisible burden. Everything in the home takes a tax. It takes time to clean it, to move it, to store it, to repair it, and then to always find space for things. Not realizing that it's just collecting dust. And it's also in the back of your mind because as women and as mamas, every little nook and cranny that people who come into our home may not realize, we know where it is. You know, it's like that one area that is painted on your trim where nobody can see it, but you can see it. That is the mental load that you are carrying with having all of this stuff. And did I mention the stress that comes with it? Number 3 is that we're also being taught and sold into this idea of buying in bulk and in excess. I understand for bigger families, but this is even being pushed onto smaller families. We are buying way more than what we actually need and will use in like a reasonable time. And this is where I found the biggest problem for myself is that I was bulk buying things. Now, mind you, we are only a family of 4 at the moment. So it's not like I really need that many things, but for some odd reason, I thought that if I bought in bulk, it would be better. And some things are better in bulk, but majority of it you can live without, and majority of it I do not need, nor will I use it within like the time frame that it should be used in. One thing that this taught me is that I was not trusting in God's provision. Not so much that just because I was buying in bulk, but because I was buying for the just in case. So what this looked like for me was buying a ton of frozen vegetables and fruits, even meats sometimes, and storing it away for the just in case. Now I actually had to clean out my deep freeze and freezer and throw a bunch of stuff away because I never ended up using it. And even when I'd go to the grocery store, I would just go buy more because for one, I would forget about it. And two, I was like, well, you know, might as well, I'm already here. The other thing is that this is just a comfort thing. Sometimes we just want to buy in bulk so then we don't have to go to the grocery store again. And I get that how that is a hassle, but I've also realized that when I go to the grocery store that I've caught myself where I bulk buy. So I buy all my veggies, everything, all of that ends up going bad because number 1, I don't use it. Number 2, I mean, it shouldn't last forever. You know, we want it to last a week, but vegetables and fruits should not last that long, like for realsies. So all that stuff I end up wasting. If I just go buy what I need for today and tomorrow, that is more than enough. Our fridge looks more empty now than it ever has before, but I've also saved more money doing that than going to the grocery store once every 2 weeks or once a week, buying in bulk and throwing away, honestly, like maybe even 80% of it. I've also realized that I don't need more storage containers or organizing bins. That is a whole business in itself. I had to realize that the problem was all the stuff that I had. I did not need to buy more stuff aka containers and all that stuff, to hoard my stuff already. That is the main problem. It's not that I don't have the XYZ storage container or organizing bin. It's the fact that I just have too much of it. And if you find yourself organizing and reorganizing and reorganizing, then it might be time to consider how much stuff you actually have and how much stuff you actually need, and what do you actually use is the better question. So after getting rid of like 90% of the stuff in this household, I have had way more time to spend with my children, with stuff that I like doing. I've even had people just come over straight in the morning, and I've learned to use my home as the tool that it should be, not as a place to hoard the stuff. And this led to being content with whatever I have, not even wanting less, but just owning less and being okay with it. Being okay with having empty drawers or empty walls and empty corners. That is fine. Not every corner was meant to be full anyways. And I really had to start teaching myself that this is normal. Having every corner full, every drawer full, and everything to the excess is not normal. That is coming from a place of discontent, of not relying on God's provision, and also on looking to the world to satisfy my needs. So yes, less stuff has been more time, and that is something you cannot buy. It's made me a calmer mom, a better mom in a way, because I'm not always screaming at my kids because the counter is cluttered up again and the rooms are cluttered up again because I have too much clothes and there's clothes everywhere, etc. My house is more manageable because I have less stuff. I can clean my house in like 15 to 30 minutes. I can usually whip up something good and for everybody, because it's not that I have an abundance of food in the fridge, but I have the right foods, and I have my quick foods and my take some time foods. I'm able to walk out the door and not worry about the mess that I left behind. I can come home and just sit down and relax and enjoy the time. It's not the fact that I want to keep it perfect, like nobody lives in here, but I want to keep it peaceful. Peaceful for myself, for my kids, and also for my husband who comes home after work. I'm sure coming home to like a very messy house is, I don't know, could be stressful. I've never done it before, but I'm sure it could be. But now also with the less stuff, I've also been less stressed, like I was saying, because when I used to have an abundance of toys, there was toys down there, I had a play area here, there's more toys over there, it would be so stressful because it would take me about an hour to an hour and a half after I put my girls down to sleep to clean up and tidy up the house. That was time that I was losing not reading my Bible, not doing something that I enjoy, like reading a book or just even drinking coffee or hanging out. It would make bedtime a little more stressful just because I was trying to really get the girls down, thinking about all the stuff that I already had to do. But because I decided to manage the toys and understand that children don't really need that many toys, what they really want is your time and attention, that has been the biggest change in this home. And when I realized that my home is a tool, not a museum, like I say, is realizing that a tool always has a purpose and a job. So when I look around in my home, a few questions that I ask is, does this simplify my routine in life? Does this bring my family joy and peace? Does it support our spiritual life and our family rhythms? Like, what are the things that I want this home to provide? I focus more on the function over the appearance, although of course I will take care of the appearance because God also calls us to steward our things that we have, not just to not care in the name of not caring. And it takes time to realize like what is actually causing friction, like what type of clutter is causing that friction in your days that just kind of pull you back from spending time where it matters most, which is your family, church, in the ministry, could be work. And if it creates any sort of friction, that is something that you need to get rid of. Also, it's not so much of like seeing the Marie Kondo, you know, does it spark joy? No, but does this serve a purpose? Will I actually use it? Does it help me in my life, in my spiritual life, to discipline my kids or to disciple my kids? What is this used for, you know? And do I have way more than I need? The tool test that I usually go by is, do I use it regularly? And that is with my mugs, my dishes, and my clothing, my shoes, my daughter's clothing, etc. If not, then it probably should not be in my home. Would I buy it again? This comes to me because I am a person who likes to buy jeans a lot smaller than what I should be. It's like, would I buy it again today? Absolutely not. Like, girl, accept the size that you're at already. And the last one is, does it make my family life easier? If not, you're out the window. If yes, of course I'm keeping it and I'm putting it on display because it makes my family life easier. A rule that I just found out about is the 80-20 rule. This was really insightful because I do realize that my daughters play with certain toys a lot more than they play with other toys. And this has enabled me to get rid of the toys that they don't play with right now. Maybe they're just not interested. Maybe it's just not the season in life. Maybe it's just a little more of an advanced toy than where they're at right now. And why have it there? Because I have my kids are still at the season in life where they grab and dump and move on with their life. So getting rid of, like I said, 90% of the stuff, even 90% of the toys, so much better. This living room can be a disaster, but it only takes me literally less than 5 minutes to clean it. These are things that I've been able to learn and realize on how to reclaim my home and my time, most importantly, because you cannot buy time, and a lot of this stuff takes a lot of time from us. Not even just our money, it's just the time and energy of thinking about it and thinking about where to store it, and now it doesn't work, and what do we do now? Making your house have less friction is gonna make it feel better. I hope this was encouraging to you to reclaim your home and your time. And if you're in a journey of trying to develop good habits in your life, you can click this video right here. It talks about 7 habits of a godly mother, just some simple habits to implement in your life that I got from the Proverbs 31 woman that I've implemented in my life, and it's been transformative. So anywho, we'll catch you guys on the next one.